The secret rare Pikachu from Crown Zenith went from about $7 to $8 to over 20 in a short period of time. It's not super surprising considering what we have with Surging Sparks. Those cards are very expensive, so a lot of the times if there's a big set with the Pikachu, the lesser Pikachus will come up in value, and that's what we're seeing here. And in the last 3 months, you could have picked this up for between $7 and $8, with 8, almost 9 being the high, and it absolutely popped off. There's 149 of these currently listed on TCG, and last solds are a little bit all over the place, but it does kind of make sense. 17, 18, 18, but then you got 25, 26, 20, 11, 22, 20, 20. So that $20 mark is about accurate for this Pikachu. It's a very nice looking card. I could see how some people might think it's a little busy with all the Pokemon in the background, but I absolutely love this card. It's nice to see it gaining some value. We'll zoom out a little bit, get a bigger picture for this card. We'll go to the 1 year. Obviously at a 1 year high. Looks like its low was around $6, and its previous high was around $12 in late May, early June. So nice to see that card getting some attention. Crown Zenith is a really great set. And speaking of Crown Zenith, we have another card. This is the Mewtwo V-Star. This is the one where he's fighting Charizard, and this card's up 42% in the past 3 months. And actually, it should be up more if it's going off this recent sale. They have market at around $78, $82 right here, but most recent sale was $95. You could have this was $50, and it slowly climbed, and then same thing, it just kind of popped off a bunch of sales right here, and that really shot the price up. Last sold was $95. Before that, we got 80, 74s, and then down here there's a 110 sale. So something to keep an eye on. 52 copies listed. We'll zoom out, take a bigger look here. This card was, I remember when this card was like in the 40s, 45 for a long time. Kind of around the alt art boom, it kind of ran up to around 70, came back down to 50, and now it's at a 1 year high for the Mewtwo V-Star. A super fun card. I get Dragon Ball Z energy from this Kamehameha he's doing. Kind of what I get. So once again, another Crown Zenith card. Also, the other thing you guys have to consider is a lot of these, with these cards going up, it's not just, it's also because the boxes. We're seeing Crown Zenith ETBs going up. We're going to look at some Paradox Rift cards. We're seeing the Paradox Rift booster boxes go up. It is the demand, and it is a combination of the other popularity of the other cards and the more expensive, but I think it's like kind of the perfect storm. Tons of new people coming in. We got sets going up. Everything's just like popping off. So we're in the perfect storm of a market right now. And the Iron Valiant. Now, we've talked about this card recently from Paradox Rift. I've been fairly vocal in the past that Paradox Rift is a great set, undervalued, and I don't know how long ago it was that we were talking about this specific card. It was fairly recently, but yeah, 70 items sold right here, and that's probably what drove this price up. But it's up 52% in the past month alone. That's really great. That's some great gains. We'll zoom out on the 3 months. So it dipped down. The 3 month chart doesn't look quite as good, but 10% up on the 3 month chart is still pretty good. It really hung in this $19 range for a long time. That was way too cheap for this card. Of a nice version of a popular Pokemon with, you got a Tyranitar variant in the background. It was just too cheap, and the market obviously agreed with that. However, something that's very interesting is not at its 1 year high, right? It was 1 year ago at Christmas. It was at $54. It's slowly, so this was a great buying point in the teens. And a lot of people agreed with that. So you can see the most sales in the past year right here. There was a lot also in May. So Iron Valiant from Paradox Rift going up, but still has a long ways to go if it wants to get back to that 1 year high. And now we have, okay, so this is one of the coolest cards of the era. I'm not going to say the coolest, but it's definitely up there. This is the most expensive card currently in Paradox Rift, the Groudon. Absolutely love this card. 22% growth in the past 3 months. It went from 46 up to 65. Last solds are actually around 66, so up just a little bit more. There's only 33 of these currently available. Now, Paradox Rift didn't have the most difficult pull rates, but it had a ton of illustration rares. So this card's actually harder to pull than you might think. And, it's not, this SV era, we've seen illustration rares like the Magikarp from Paldea lead sets. We don't even need SIRs to lead the sets, it seems like. So if you got a good IR, it's enough to carry a set, and the Groudon is carrying for sure. take a bigger picture here. So we had the, May, June alt art boom. I like to call it the alt art boom. They led the way, but this is not an alternate art. This is an illustration rare. Went from 25 up to 64, came back down to, looks like a low of 46, and now it's at 66. So it is at its 1 year high. That is a common theme that we are seeing, cards breaking through the 1 year high. Then we have the Altaria, which this scan of this card does not do it justice. This is an absolutely stunning card. I picked up this card in a PSA 10, but 17% growth in the past 3 months, and the 1 month chart might look a little better. 32% up in the past month, so that's really good. It had a big run right here. Same thing. This one has not gotten to its 1 year high. 44 down to 23 and back up into the 30s. 69 copies currently available. Last sold at 35, 33, 35. So very consistent sales on the Altaria. So like to see this card get back up to at least its 1 year high, somewhere close to that in the $40 range. Stunning card, underrated. Then we got a pair of cards here that are taking off. This is Paradox Rift as well. This is the Gholdengo. I don't know if this is this card and the next card, if it's a playability, because I'm not too into the TCG. But 11% in the past 3 months and 26% in the past month. So most of that growth coming recently from 18 up to 22. However, most recent sold is 24. And the 1 year card is obviously nowhere near this 35. So it's got $10 to go if it wants to get to that. But it's not just this Gholdengo from Paradox. We got the other Gholdengo, just the regular EX from Paradox. 600% up. I mean, this card went from $1.40 to almost $10. Last sold's $9.66, $10.98. So if you have this regular Gholdengo and you're looking to sell it, you could sell it for $10 right now. So that's why I bring this card up. Those are wild gains. But yeah, I'm assuming this has to be a playability factor here. Let me know in the comments if you guys know for sure. Then we're going to hop back over. We got a few cards from Surging we have to touch on. The Milotic, however you want to pronounce it, is at obviously an all-time high. Hasn't came out that long ago. Went from 97 down to 80, and now it's over doubled. We're seeing 166. Last 1 month chart shows 70% growth. So I can't dive in too much deeper because this is all the data we have. But 27 copies available, and last sold's 166, 160, 165, 180. There's even a $200 sale. So this will be another one to keep an eye on. Very difficult to pull. Just to remind you, 1 out of 960 packs for all of the SIRs from Surging Sparks. So very difficult to pull. Not totally a surprise, but man, should have picked up a lot of copies. I didn't expect it would get this rapid of growth, if I'm being honest. Doubling that quickly is very impressive. Then we got the Iron Crown from Temporal. 25% growth. Look at this. It really was just, $50. And then in the 3-day window, 49 copies sold, and it just shot up in price. 25% growth. The 1 month chart shows 33%. This is a $70 card now, went from 50s to 70s, and it is not at its 1 year high. After release, it ran all the way up to 95, and we're coming off of a low. 53 was definitely the low. And yeah, so Temporal, like I said, Temporal is going up in price. Booster boxes are going up in price. So we're seeing a jump in cards. People are, this happens a lot. People are even if they like the set, but they go, oh, this is getting expensive. Now it's time to act, when they could have, been buying, and it happens to everyone. I'm guilty of it as well. $53, you could have bought a ton of copies here, but you wait, and then, that card's valuable, I want some. So it's just human nature. We chase what's expensive. But yeah, so Iron Crown, it is off of its pre-release price of $55, up 33%. But yeah, definitely down from this $95 price. So only 17 copies currently listed. So we'll see where this one ends up. Looks like you could get, it's in the $80 range, and then it goes into the hundreds if you're looking to pick up a copy from TCG Player. That's the Iron Crowns from Temporal. Then we got the Pikachu. We got to touch on it again. I know there's a lot of Surging Sparks, but it's what's hot, so we're going to touch on it. But check out these numbers. This is very Greninja-esque on this chart. It went from 45 up to 116, came back down, just cooled off just for a minute, just to explode up to 165 for the Pikachu, $165. Last solds are a little bit all over the place with this 115 kind of throwing things off, then 160, then 207, 160. So we'll see where this one ends up. But looks like 160, 170-ish is kind of fair market. So that seems listed. I think the 114 seems like an anomaly. 39 copies is actually more difficult to pull than the other Pikachu. It's over 1,000 packs to pull this card on average for the golds. So, whew, man. And if you bought here at 78 when most people did, you'd be doing really well. Having over doubled your money. So, good on you, Pikachu gold holders. We're going to touch on the Bubble Mew again for a second. We talked about this card recently. What a run this card has had. 90 up to 300. Most recent sales, we're seeing 305, 330, 230, 340, and 340 on the Bubble Mew. So it looks kind of on the chart, it looks like it's leveling out a little, but with these sales, some of these being higher, this card is going to continue to run, maybe it looks like, which is kind of wild. You'd think it would have to cool off. At some point it will, but maybe it's going to run for a little bit more. 46 copies available. If we look at what you could get it for, 300 right now is the lowest, with good feedback and everything. So it's available at market price, maybe just slightly above. But yeah, this is one I'll be keeping an eye on. I'll keep you guys updated on this card. I talked about this card a lot recently as well, just because of Paldean Fates kind of taking off. Not the growth I wanted to see, but most recent sale is intriguing. This is the Charizard, 37% growth. Most recent sales is 170 though, so that would be well above the market of 151, and that's pretty consistent. 170, 169, 150, 160. So nice to see this card, getting a little bit of attention. 36% growth. 1 month chart's only 6% up though. In the 1 year, obviously at release, it went up to 184. It's kind of where I would like to see this card. I mean, if the Mew is going to be in the 300s, I'd like to see this crack low 2s is what I would like to see it at, but maybe some Charizard fatigue going on. Some people don't like the crowns. I don't know. I think this artwork's super cool, so another one to keep an eye on. Only 30 copies currently on TCG. Then the Pikachu we have to touch on just for a second. This not too long, but this card is kind of rebounding. It went from 6 down to 420, and it went just a little bit below 5. However, most recent sales are 450. I don't know what this. I'm gonna exclude this card. 5, 499, 499, 5. So this market price actually seems about accurate. I don't know why it said most recent sale 430, but 50 copies available. So there's a lot of copies currently available. Lowest 470 listed. So I think it's going to hover around this range maybe for a little bit, go up and down between a channel for a while. Then we got the Latias. We talked about this card very recently as well, but just to touch on it, it ran up, release 215 down to 190, up to 260, and it's kind of been there for a minute. Last solds are 237, 240. There's a 280 in there, so that's a little high. I'm around between 230 and 250. So this market price is close enough. 48 copies currently available. And the last card we're going to touch on is the Hydreigon from Surging Sparks. I know it's a lot of surging, but that's what's popping right now. Now this card, you can see, I thought 120. I thought this was going to hold closer to 100 for a while. It just fell down into the 70s. Not a lot of people, but I got a lot of comments saying this was their chase card. So, I kind of thought it'd have a little more popularity. But it did run up from 70 up to 92. They have market price at 103, with the most recent sale actually being 117, and there's 125, 120. So this card actually being up there, that would get this above this right here. So this 1 month chart would look a lot better if that updates. So the Hydreigon looking pretty good. So a lot of Surging Sparks on this list, not to be surprised. We got the Crown Zenith, some Crown Zenith stuff. A lot of what, when I was kind of going over this list, a lot of what I'm seeing is just strong market sets that are now coming up in value. And when I say sets, I mainly mean the sealed, the ETBs and the booster boxes. Temporal, Paradox, these are all gaining value just from the booster boxes and the Crown Zenith ETBs. So it's not really a big surprise, but it's just nice to see, because usually when a set gets some attention in the past, we've seen the boxes go up, but the singles are stagnant, or the singles are going up, but the boxes are stagnant. But we're seeing these kind of move together, which is nice to see. So that's pretty much it for this one. I just wanted, these are the hottest cards of kind of the past week that popped onto the radar. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. I'll catch you in the next one. And remember, it was never face.